It was in late December 2020, just after Christmas, while I was sitting on the balcony of the forest rest house in Palpur, watching the Kuno River and admiring the dry deciduous forest, which resembles the Kruger National Park in South Africa, that the news came through that cheetahs were about to be reintroduced to India, and it was going to be Kuno Palpur National Park that would be the new home for these animals. While I was happy about the decision, which will expand the cheetah population and will bring much needed prosperity to the region, I understood that this would be the last time I would be able to visit this place in this way. I was able to enter the park and travel in it with my own car, seeing hardly any other vehicle or any human disturbance, and staying in a forest rest house inside the park. These things are probably going to be changed, and visits may in future be restricted, as in tiger reserves around the country. My first visit to this place was in November 2019. The only place to stay in the area was in Jungle Resort Kuno, which was run by Mahdya Pradesh Tourism and will probably be leased to a private operator in future. The resort is on the main road between Shivpuri and Sheopur. It has a large car park and an attractive entrance and lobby. The rooms are large and face the Kuno River. Later, when I found out that it was possible to stay in a forest rest house inside the park, I moved there. It will probably not be possible to stay in a forest rest house in the future, but private resorts outside the park are being constructed. My permit to stay in this forest rest house was collected from the forest department in Sesaipura. This rural village, which is on the main road from Shivpuri to Sheopur, not far from Jungle Resort Kuno, is the turning point to a small road that leads to the main gate of the national park. The extensive development that India has experienced in the last 30 years has not yet arrived in these districts of Madhya Pradesh, and the state government hopes that with the new coming cheetahs, tourism development will change this. Life seems to be very easygoing in Sesaipura and other villages in this area. Local women gather near bore wells to collect water in the mornings. Some take their time to wash their pots on the road, and it doesn't seem to bother anybody. Tribal people with their livestock can be seen camping on the side of the road. They're allowed to camp for a while and are not bothered by the local authorities, unlike in many other places. From Sesaipura, the road goes through farmland and villages to the Tiktoli Gate, the main entrance to the park. Permits to enter and a fee were formally collected near this gate, which previously had drawings of lions on its wall. On my last visit, these drawings had gone. Currently, I believe the park is closed to tourism. As soon as one ventures inside the park, one experiences the forest of Kardai, Kher and Salai, and one can see wild animals by the dozen foraging across vast meadows. Some grasslands here are more extensive than most at Kanha or Bandhavgarh tiger reserves. Many of these grasslands were formerly villages. Besides herds of spotted deer, groups of wild cattle can be seen. These are the descendants of cows that were left behind when villages were translocated 25 years ago. The most common predators are jackals. These animals used to be common around villages all over India, but are now declining and are hardly seen or heard anywhere. Since there are no tigers in the park, leopards are thriving. They can sometimes be seen even in daytime on the road or on trees. While returning to the gate shortly after dark, I was fortunate to meet this striped hyena on the road. Following the success of my first visit, I returned in late December 2020 and stayed in the Forest Rest House in Palpur. This rest house is in the premises of the Forest Department, where many of the forest officers reside. It is positioned on a cliff above the Kuno River, next to an old fort with a great view over the river and its surroundings. There is a watchtower on its north side and a waterhole to its south. My main objective for this visit was to explore the bird life of the area, as it was a rare chance to visit a very large protected area with hardly any disturbance, with my own car on my own terms. I was able to go wherever I wanted, get out of my car and walk around, wait as long as I wished near waterholes, and most importantly, I was able to walk with forest guards to a cliff about 1 kilometre upriver from the rest house, where there was a large colony of vultures. On my first visit, I was not able to go there because the river was too high. I expected to find a breeding colony of Indian vultures, the most endangered species of vulture in India, which together with slender-billed and white-rumped vultures suffered a huge population collapse in the 1990s and can now only be found in a few places in central India. When I reached this cliff, I found no fewer than 150 vultures. To my surprise, only 12 of them were Indian vultures. 35 of the others were Eurasian griffons, and over 100 were Himalayan griffon. Nearly all were immature birds. There were no signs of nesting. This sighting confirms the importance of the site as a wintering ground for griffon vultures. Indian white-rumped, red-headed and Egyptian vultures are resident. There is a bridge that crosses the Kuno River north of the Forest Rest House, from where there is a splendid view of Palpur Fort. On the bank of the river, the Forest Department has established a breeding project for gharial, the most endangered crocodilian in India. Some can be seen basking in the sun, in a small cage. Later, when the animals grow, they are released. Large mugger crocodiles can be seen basking on the sandbanks of the river. The Forest Department has constructed many waterholes in the park. These are the best places to watch birds and wildlife. As I was able to get out of my car and use a tripod, I was able to obtain good shots. Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary was established in 1981 with an initial area of 345 square kilometres in Sheopur and Morana districts in northern Madhya Pradesh near the Chambal River, which borders Rajasthan. In December 2018, the state government enlarged the protected area to 758 square kilometres and changed the status of the wildlife sanctuary to the Kuno Palpur National Park. The park lies within the larger Kuno Wildlife Division, which has a total area of 1,235 square kilometres. The park takes its name from the Kuno River, which flows through it before joining the Chambal River. In the 1990s, this area was selected as a possible site to implement the Asiatic lion reintroduction project, which aimed at establishing a second lion population in India. Between 1998 and 2003, about 1,650 inhabitants of 24 villages were resettled to sites outside the protected area. Palpur was the first village to be relocated. Situated on the banks of the Kuno River, the fort, Palpur Gari as it is locally known, had to be vacated by the Palpur royal family. When the descendants of the Palpur royals asked for compensation, the Public Work Department said in its survey that the property was over 100 years old and had zero value, as now there are only ruins. The Gir National Park in Gujarat is the only place in the world where Asiatic lions currently live in the wild. It was there that the biggest conservation success story in India, bringing the Asiatic lion back from the brink of extinction to a healthy population, has happened. Gujarat state is resisting the relocation of lions to Madhya Pradesh, and the project, which has been pending for 25 years, has never materialised. Plans to reintroduce cheetahs to India started in 2009. The cheetah has been extinct in India since 1952. It is the only large cat species that has gone extinct from the country. On his 72nd birthday, on the 17th of September 2022, Prime Minister Narendra Modi released 8 wild cheetahs into the Kuno Palpur National Park and launched the world's first cheetah rehabilitation project. The road from Shivapuri in Madhya Pradesh to Swami Madhapur in Rajasthan is one of the most wildlife-rich areas in central India. Coming from Shivapuri, as soon as you pass Pohari, you enter the Vindhyan Hills, a very well-wooded plateau dotted with villages. This is one of India's most rural areas. For many years, this district was known for its gangs of dacoits. The famous bandit queen, Poolan Devi, was active in this zone. Roadkills are a big problem here too. The road is about to be upgraded, and it will become a toll road, which will increase the number of roadkills even further. I was lucky to visit Kuno Palpur National Park in times when it was still rural and did not receive many visitors. I was able to drive between the many checkposts and anti-poaching camps that have been established in the park. I spent hours by many waterholes watching birds and animals drinking. I was able to explore the Kuno River itself, with its large sandbanks, which, besides crocodiles, has large numbers of water birds, such as great cormorants and black storks. I was able to walk in forests with a large diversity of trees. The grasslands of this park have the largest numbers of game birds, such as button quails, bush quails and francolins, that I have ever seen in India. Particularly special is the painted francolin, a bird that is very rarely seen outside the monsoon time. Here I saw it in winter in large numbers. Raptors are numerous, especially vultures. Here it is possible to see nearly all the species of vultures that occur in India. Before the arrival of the cheetah and the mass tourism that is about to follow, I was lucky to enjoy this little-known, magnificent central Indian forest at its best.